everybody, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. And today's guest star from the title, I'm doing something that was kind of a trend like a year ago, but I'm like, you know what, I never got a chance to do it. Quarantine, I've got the time. So I'm gonna be doing one of those tier challenges type thing. I've seen them on Twitter, I'm sure a lot of you guys have too, and I know some people have also done YouTube videos about them, but basically you make some sort of a template that is a tier-based ranking system, and then you rank something, some sort of music usually. One of the more popular ones that I've seen is ranking pop punk bands. So I found a template online. I actually used Infinity on Hannah's template. If you've seen her video, I will link it right here. I encourage you guys to check it out. Definitely an inspiration for this video. She ranked pop punk bands using a template that she made. Now I took her template and I just kind of modified it a little bit. I've been, using Photoshop a lot in my internship, so my Photoshop skills are getting a little better. They're not by any means good at all, but they're getting better. So I took her template and I just modified it a little bit so that I added some more bands that I would like and removed a few that I'm just not too familiar with, because I wanted to make sure that when ranking these bands, I was familiar with all of them, so I could honestly, share my opinion and had some background knowledge and actually listen to them. So I added a bunch actually. I probably have a lot more than she did, and I removed some. And yeah, I'm really excited to do this. It's all pop punk, so I tried to, stick to bands that are sort of in the pop punk genre, even though pop punk honestly is such a confusing genre, and some of these bands might not be considered pop punk. I really don't know at this point. But yeah, today I'm just gonna be ranking them with you guys. So I've got my computer right here, ready. As you guys can see, here's a template that I've made. So if you don't know how this works, the S on the top is like the supreme, superior, God tier, basically. And then everything below it goes in just in alphabetical ranking order, A, B, C, D, F. So I guess F being the worst, So yeah, I added, like I said, I have a lot here. There's some that I had to put on the side over here because I couldn't fit them all on the actual side of the board. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with those that are already on the board, just because I feel like it's kind of confusing to have them already in the tier board. So I'm gonna do those first, and then I'm gonna work my way around the top and then down the sides. So yeah, these are all bands that I listen to and familiar with, and yeah, I'm just excited, so let's just get started and do this. I'm nervous for some reason to do this. I don't know, I feel like people are gonna get angry at me, but this is just all also based on my personal opinion. I'm not saying any of this is correct. I'm just saying this is my opinion. So we're gonna start over here with Confidence. I've been listening to them for 2 years now. I was a really big fan 2017, actually more, yeah, probably almost 3 years honestly, which is kind of crazy. I've seen them a bunch of times. They're very fun. I really liked I think it was their debut album, Better Weather. Is that what it's called? Yeah, that's what it's called. The one with the sun, I think. Yeah, I really liked that album. That was my favorite album by them. Their latest album, the pink one, I saw them on tour for that album, and I actually did like a lot of songs from that album, and I do really like a lot of their old EPs. To be honest, I don't listen to them too much anymore, but I think that they are a pretty solid pop punk band. I think their first album is definitely better than their second, their most recent. I don't really know what they're doing right now, maybe probably writing, but I like them a lot. I think I'm gonna put them in the B category. I'm debating between B and C. I don't really listen to them that much anymore. I think they did a lot of really cool things lyrically though with their first album. I guess I'll be nice and give them a B. There we go. Okay, next we have Water Parks. T. So I only really like a handful of Water Park songs, to be honest. We got Rare, Stupid for You, Crybaby even. There's a few that I like, but overall I'm not a huge fan. I don't even know if you'd really consider them pop punk. They're definitely more on the poppier side of pop punk. They have a very big fan base. I think they actually did a lot to kind of reinvent the genre, to be honest, and I got very excited when I first heard them. I've seen them at Warped Tour and they were good live, but personally, I don't know, the fan base first off really annoys me, and some of their members annoy me. Not they're bad guys or anything, but I don't know, I just think I'm kind of too old for them in a way. But I do respect them and I do like a handful of their songs, but some of it is just a little too whiny for me. I'm not a huge fan of Austin's voice. I think I'm gonna give them either a C or a D. I feel like Water Parks fans are gonna come after me. I'll give them a C. I'll give them a C because I do like a handful of songs. Next we have Trophy Eyes, who, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love them. I've been a big fan of them for many years. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. Obviously they've changed a lot in the last few years. You know, their discography has definitely just shifted, you know, from Men Move On to The American Dream and everything in between. It's been really different, but I've always loved like almost everything they've put out. I still need to get into Men Move On, but I really like a lot of songs off there. Chemical Miracle is like a masterpiece. The American Dream was my favorite album of whatever year that came out. I think it was 2018. So I like love them. I consider them one of my favorite bands. I don't know if I'd give them like the supreme god tier. I don't know. I feel like they either deserve S or A, to be honest. Just because even though they have evolved, their music is still fantastic. They're still creating these anthems. So you know what? I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna give them an S. We got our first superior. Next we have Trash Boat, you know, great pop punk band, a little bit on the harder side. They have 2 full-length albums out. I've seen them live, they're great live. I like the kind of edginess of some of their songs, you know, how there is some screaming parts. And I think they actually were very experimental in their last album, Crown Shyness, I think that's what it's called. I really loved that album. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited to see what they're gonna do next. I'm gonna give them a B, I think, a solid B. Next we have The Story So Far. I mean, literal pop punk gods. They are loved by so many, and I've been a pretty big fan of them for like the last year and a half. I definitely got into them late, I'll be honest. You guys know I got into them late, but they're fantastic. They're one of my favorite pop punk bands, and honestly, I feel like they really don't have a bad song in like their entire discography. You know, they've been around for so long and they're still creating banger after banger, and even though Proper Dose was different than their older stuff, I still love it, and I think a lot of people love that album. So I think I'm gonna give them superior too, because they just, even with style changes, they cannot be stopped. Next we have State Champs, my hometown boys. They're, I don't know, I feel like I was really into them like 2016, and I don't listen to them as much anymore. A lot of people didn't like Living Proof because they feel like they're going in too much of a pop kind of sellout direction. I wish they had stuck with like their Finer Things sound, because I really liked that more raw pop punk, and now it is more, you know, whoa, whoa, kind of like pop sounds, which I don't hate at all. I'll listen to Living Proof. I still love that album. I really do. Like, I don't think every single song is amazing, but I think there are enough bops that I will listen to it. I am kind of saddened though that they are going in, you know, more of, I don't know, a pop direction. But I think they are really talented, to be honest. So I think I'm actually gonna give them an A, because I still listen to them enough and I think they have enough really big songs, especially their old stuff. I'm gonna give them an A. Next we have Sleep On It, who people will argue is the Chicago version of State Champs. Which, you know what? I honestly agree, and actually one of the first things I thought of when I first heard Sleep On It, I was like, because I saw Sleep On It and State Champs together the first time I saw Sleep On It, and I literally was like, why are they actually so similar? They're both great, and they are different, but I do see a lot of similarities in their vocal style, instrumental style, a bunch of things. I do like Sleep On It a lot, not as much as State Champs though, so I don't know, I think I'm gonna give them a B. Why do I feel like I'm gonna give like everybody a B? Alright, so now we're gonna move up into the top row. Now we have All Time Low, who have obviously, you know, been around for a very long time, pop punk legends. I have never been like a crazy big fan. I kind of started listening to them when Future Hearts came out, and I do like that album a lot. I do also like their older stuff. I have Nothing Personal on vinyl, which I really enjoy. I like a lot of stuff from So Wrong It's Right. So I think they have like a solid number of bops. I hear their new album is actually really good. I haven't listened to it just because they kind of lost me with Last Young Renegade, but I've heard their new album is actually very different and very good. So I'm gonna have to give that one a listen, but I don't know, I kind of stopped listening to them after Future Hearts. In my opinion, that was like their last good record. So I think I'm gonna give them an A though, just because they've been around for so long, and like, they are kind of legends in this scene, you know, everybody knows them. Now we have Bearings, who I really, really love. They are definitely on the smaller side, but I think that they have a really cool pop punk style that kind of brings in both like old and new sounds. I think that their instrumental stuff is super experimental and different, and I love the lyrics of their songs. They only have one full-length album and then also an EP, but literally like all of their songs are great. I don't think there's a Bearings song I really dislike. Even their new stuff, the 2 new tracks that came out this year, are great. I'm really excited to see what they do next. So I think I'm gonna give them a B just because they are early on in their career. Now we have Belmont, who are literally one of my favorite bands of all time, as you guys know. Literally reinventing pop punk. Like, everybody says a bunch of other bands are reinventing pop punk. I think Belmont is 100%. I have loved them for like 2 years now, and I think they're so incredibly talented. Literally every single song they've put out is a banger. Their first debut full-length album is so good when you think about the fact that it is their first album, and both of their EPs are amazing. All the little one-off songs as well are fantastic. Their new EP, Reflections, is wonderful, very experimental. I mean, they are doing a lot of things, like electronic sounds, and even like their first album though, I think is so experimental. I think that they are truly reinventing pop punk and just really trying a lot of new things that are all working. Like, I think they are very talented musicians, amazing live. So I'm definitely gonna give them a solid A because I think they've totally been reinventing this genre. And you can argue with me, but I think it's true. Now we have Blink-182, who obviously, I mean, legendary, like everybody knows of them, you know, at least everybody knows like one song by theirs. Mama's a huge fan, and she actually probably got me more into them, I think, these last, you know, few years. And I was into their, like their older stuff, like Enema of the State obviously is, but that's my favorite album by them. I also really like, obviously, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Even like some of their older stuff, like Dude Ranch, I think is really good. They have so many amazing albums, you know, they've been around for so long. I do think that in the last, you know, 5 years, they've kind of gone down the tubes. Like, I did actually really like California when it came out in 2016, I think it was. But now, I don't know, looking back at that album, being a little bit older and wiser, I think, I realized that it's just, you know, it's kind of sappy and poppy. I don't really like Mark's voice anymore. I don't know, I feel like their style has just changed. Obviously the members have changed and that's probably why. But I think that their new music is just kind of meh. So I don't know, oh my gosh. I feel like there's too many bands that I'm putting at the top. And like nobody's gonna be down there because I'm just like mean. You know what I'm gonna do? People are probably gonna hate me for this. I think I'm gonna move Water Parks to D. I'm sorry. I think they're just like a little overhyped in my opinion. But I am gonna put Blink-182 at an A because, you know, they have been around for so long. You know what? Okay. And I think I'm gonna put Blink-182 as a B, which is probably, Yvonne's gonna hate me for this, I'm sorry. Just because I feel like they were really good in like the 90s and early 2000s, but I think the last few years they're going downhill and it's sad to see. So I'm gonna put them there. Please don't kill me, Blink fans. You know what, I'm gonna move a few of these around. I'm sorry, I'm being so annoying. I'm gonna move With Confidence down to a C. I feel like I wasn't thinking and I was putting some of these too high up, but I'm gonna move them down to a C. Next we have Boston Manor. I really liked their stuff. Their new album, I'm kind of having trouble getting into, to be honest. I think their first full-length album was fantastic. You know, I think that it was super pop punk. I don't really know if you'd consider them pop punk anymore though, because when you think of the album, you know, Welcome to the Neighborhood, I think they've changed a lot. So I don't know how much you'd consider them pop punk anymore. But I do think they're super talented. So for that, I think I'm gonna give them a C, just because they aren't really staying with the pop punk genre, which I'm not mad at all. I think Welcome to the Neighborhood is a fantastic album. I think they're doing a lot of experimental stuff as well, but I think I'm gonna put them down here with C. And there's this weird empty open spot for B, which I'm sorry about. Next we have Broadside. Okay, to be honest, I like maybe like between 7 to 10 Broadside songs, but I could never get into them a lot. Like, I have friends that like love them and stuff, and I agree. I think that, you know, the lead singer is talented. I think they are talented. I've seen them live a bunch of times. But I don't know, I think they're a little bit too much on like the pop side, at least their new stuff for me. I don't know, I like some of their older stuff like Coffee Talk and things from that album I enjoy. but as a whole, I've never really been able to get like super into them. So I think I'm gonna give them a D. I'm gonna put them down by water parks because I can't put them on the same tier as Boston Manor. That won't be right. Next we have Fall Out Boy. Now this is tricky because what I should have done is made this like old Fall Out Boy, because I don't think that new Fall Out Boy can be really considered like pop punk. Like I'm talking about like first 3 albums Fall Out Boy, maybe including Save Rock and Roll, maybe. But I think everything after that just isn't really that pop punk. Like, I don't know, American Beauty, American Psycho, which I love. I used to be obsessed with that album. I don't know if you really consider it pop punk, and definitely not Mania. I don't know what Mania is. You guys know my feelings about that album. I couldn't get into it. But I think their first 3 albums are so solid. You know, I loved Folie à Deux. That's my favorite album by them. From Under the Cork Tree, Take This to Your Grave, even Infinity on High are fantastic. You know, I think their first 4 or so albums are like super, incredibly solid rock albums with a lot of pop punk influences. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I almost do still feel like they could be more classified as rock than pop punk. And this is where genres get really confusing. But I think, oh gosh, where am I gonna put them? This is so tricky because am I thinking like my liking? Am I basing it on like the genre? I don't know. And like them as a whole, it's just tough. I think I'm gonna put them in B though. I'll put them in this spot that's open because they have done a ton of stuff. They have a lot of records, and like I said, their first 4 albums are all gold. So I think they deserve to be up there in the Bs. Now we have Grayscale, who are very, very loved. They have a very loving fan base. I'm not saying that sarcastically, but like they got big very quickly. I think I saw them for the first time fall of 2018 when they opened up for Real Friends. And like, they really weren't that big then. Like the people there did not really know their songs. They barely had a pit for them. Like I was able to meet the entire band just like after the show, you know, and now they've like blown up, and I do think they deserve it. I think Adornment was a great album. There's a lot of stuff from their album before that, the purple one. I really like a lot of songs from that album as well. And then they came out with Nella Vita, which took me a little time to get into, to be honest. I was like, okay, these guys are going really on the pop end of pop punk. But that album is actually very versatile, and I've gotten into it a lot more the last few months. And I don't know, part of me still thinks they're a bit overhyped. People are like, oh, they're redefining pop punk. And I'm like, like, I don't know if they're really redefining pop punk. I think they just don't want to fit into a box, which I think is fine. So because of that, I think I'm gonna put them with C, just because I don't really think, I don't know, I think that after Adornment, they kind of started experimenting more, and I think there's a lot of stuff from Nella Vita that I don't really see that much as pop punk. There's just a lot of variety there. And in my personal opinion, I do really like them, but I don't love them like that much, you know? So I'm gonna put them C. Okay, now we have the last little row of bands. We have Knuckle Puck next, which obviously is my favorite band, if you did not know. Do I want to just shove them in S because like they're my favorite? Kind of. But genuinely though, the only songs by this band that I do not like is the shifted remixes, which I don't know if that technically counts because it's just remixed songs that they are already put out. So if I'm, you know, taking the remixes aside, every single song they've put out I love. I love all their EPs, I love all their albums, I like love everything. I love the 2 singles that are out so far for their new album. There's literally not a song in their discography that I don't like. I think a lot of times they get written off as another pop punk band, but I think there's so much more to them. I think they are so incredibly talented, and I could sit here and talk about them for years, you guys know. But to keep it short and sweet, I think there's a lot more to them than meets the eye. And at least personally for me, you know, I've connected with them so much on such a deep level through their music. So I think that, you know, for my opinion, I'm gonna put them in superior with these guys because for me, they really are superior. Obviously, they're my faves, and their music just means so much to me, and they don't have a skippable track. Next we have Mayday Parade, who I'm not like crazy familiar with, but I threw them on here because I do like 2 or 3 of their albums full length, but I don't love their entire discography, and I'm not super familiar with their most recent album. But obviously they did do a lot to pave the way for pop punk, and they are definitely kind of on the poppier side of pop punk just because of the vocals, but the instrumentation I think is really, really good. I love A Lesson in Romantics. I love their self-titled album. You know, there's enough stuff by them that I enjoy. The thing for me though, the reason why I didn't like keep listening to find out more by them is because to me they always seemed a bit generic and a bit boring. Like I said, like I do really like a few of their albums, but as a whole, I think it does kind of get a bit repetitive in their sound, and their sound also just isn't my favorite kind of pop punk. So I think for that, I'm gonna put them at D. Sorry guys. Next we have Movements, who are also one of my favorite bands of all time. I've been standing these guys since 2017 when they just had Outgrown Things out. Like, I literally love them so, so much. They're another one of those bands. The reason I love them is because every single song they've ever put out, I love. I don't think they have a bad song in their discography. I think they have also, in a way, sort of reinvented pop punk, although you can think about it, are they really pop punk? Like, I don't really know, because Outgrown Things has some screaming in there, kind of a lot of screaming when you think of songs like 19 and Hatchet and things like that. And then their full-length album, you know, Feel Something, is kind of more like sad boy stuff in a way. Not saying that in a bad sense at all, you know, I don't know. I just think that they are very versatile. But I'm definitely gonna give them an A though, because like I said, there's not any songs by them that I don't like. Now we have Neck Deep, you know, generic pop punk, as we say. I've listened to them for like 4 years at this point. I pretty much, I think, love like 80% of their music, you know. I love Life's Not Out to Get You. That was the album that I found by them, you know. And then I also love even their earlier stuff though, like Rain in July, History of Bad Decisions is great. Their first album is even really good, and I think that people just don't talk about that one, but I think it's a great album. And The Piece the Panic was great. Their new stuff, I'm kind of iffy about, but like I said, I don't want to make any judgments because the full album isn't out yet. They are, you know, like I said, generic pop punk. They really are what pop punk embodies. They remind me of bands like Man Overboard and other things like that. I guess I'm gonna put them in B, I think. I feel like there's too many people on this one letter, but I'm doing my best here. Next we have Rarity, who I think are definitely very underrated. They are smaller though, and they're definitely more grungy and raw pop punk than bands like Neck Deep and Mayday Parade and things. I think, I don't know, they're kind of an acquired taste. I really do like them, and like I said, I do think they are underrated. I don't really listen to them that much, like, currently. I don't know, I don't know where to put these guys. I think I'm gonna put them in C, just because I think they are talented, but they are on the smaller side, and it is a bit raw, but it is unique and it is good. I just don't find myself listening to them like all the time. Okay, coming down to the last three, now we have Real Friends. You know, I have like a lot of mixed feelings about them. I really loved Composure. That's my favorite album by them, easily, but I also got into them late. I think a lot of their stuff prior to that is like very whiny, sad boy pop punk, which is definitely like not my favorite kind of pop punk at all. So, I don't know. I'm like debating moving Water Parks down a peg again. Is that bad? Okay, so I'm gonna move Water Parks down to E, and I'm gonna put Real Friends down there with them. Because in my opinion, they had one really good solid album, and the rest of their stuff, for the most part, with the exception of a few songs here and there, a lot of the rest of their discography is like literally the same album over and over, just whining about breakups and sad boy stuff and crying in my Midwest hometown. And like, I love them, they're great, they're from Chicago, and I'm sad they broke up because they were really good live. But when I'm looking at the band as a whole, I think it's just the same album over and over. Next we have Rome. Honestly, I haven't listened to them in like a hot minute. Like, I really don't listen to them unless they come on shuffle. I'm not like ever going to their page and like deciding to listen to them. To be honest, like, I liked a handful of their songs. I've seen them live, I think at least once, maybe twice, but I never really thought they were anything super special. So I think I'm gonna put them in D and fill this spot over here. And last we have Seaway, which is another band that I know a lot of people like, and I was actually kind of like really into them like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and I don't know, I just, same sort of thing. I feel like they just aren't really that special, and they've also gotten old really poppy. Like, I like their old stuff, like I'm talking old, like Shy Guy and like that era. Now their new stuff, I don't know, I like the whole Vacation thing, like Lula on the Beach, like it's a bop, but I just feel like if they had kept with that more raw sound, they could have gone in a whole other direction, and I would have liked them so much more than their songs like now. You know, I've seen them live, and the last time I saw them live, they played a lot of stuff that was their new poppy stuff, and it just made me kind of sad. I was like, oh, I don't know, I miss like the old, more angsty kind of Seaway stuff. So, I didn't decide if I want D or E. I'm gonna put them in D because I think they had some really good older stuff, like their older pop punk, but you know, like I said, currently it's just been a little too poppy and kind of just too, I don't know, too like almost radio type songs. I don't know. Okay, so there we go. After a lot of changing and switching, which I apologize for that. Can you tell that I'm bad at like deciding where things should go and picking favorites and all that stuff? Okay, so here is my finalized pop punk ranking tier. Hopefully this wasn't too painful to watch as I kept making tough decisions and moving things around. I feel like this looks pretty good, you know, having Trophy Eyes and Story So Far and Knuckle Puck up there, like my kings. I think that maybe the B group is probably too full. I don't know. I mean, it's really tough. Those are all bands that I think have like a lot of really good music. To be honest, I feel like State Champs should probably have been in the B group. I just didn't want it to be that long. I don't know, guys. I'm not gonna sit and analyze this or else I'm gonna start second guessing everything. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll leave a link to the template below if you guys want to fill this out, and then, you know, you guys can like tweet it at me or something. I'd love to see your rankings of your favorite bands. This was super fun to do. I would love to do this again with maybe like my favorite underrated bands or even albums. I think would be super fun to do. Like having you guys send me a bunch of albums and then I could rank them. I think that'd be really cool. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you guys liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!